If you garden in clay, you're going to want to learn which plants survive and which ones won't make the cut. Welcome to Garden Moxie. Last season, I started a number of plants in my Kentucky trial garden with clay soil that was intentionally left unamended, and most of them survived. This year, I'm pushing the limits even harder with new seed-grown plants going straight into the same unamended soil. Just as a quick reminder, right now I'm working a garden that I call Rabbit Run. It's a temporary garden, a laboratory between the life I left in Michigan and the garden that we're building at Sugar Hill. Its job isn't to really look beautiful, although I hope that it does. Its job is to help me understand which plants are going to survive strongest in this Kentucky clay. And all of the lessons that I learned here at Rabbit Run will help me make decisions at Sugar Hill. It's pretty windy here today, and hopefully we'll be able to get this in before the rain comes. I thought the best way to show you the plant trials is to come out in the garden live and just show you how the plants look. There's a couple of plants that didn't make it, and there were a couple of plants I didn't expect to make it here in this Kentucky clay that actually did quite well over the winter time. So I'm going to turn the camera around and just take you through some of the highlights of the border. And I'll be keeping track of these plant trials throughout the whole growing season to see what is going to make the cut for Sugar Hill. And if you're interested in this kind of thing in a little bit more detail and also some garden history, I offer a free newsletter. You can go to the link in the description to sign up. So let's get started. All right, well, the first plant that I want to talk about today is a plant that I grew from seed over the winter time, and this has become my absolute favorite. This color blue is incredible. This is Phacelia campanularia, also known as desert bluebells. This is native to California. It's an annual. Super easy to grow from seed. I learned about this plant from reading a book from 1947, Vita Sackville West, and I've talked about this on my channel before and shared this plant, but this is just doing great here. And again, this is an annual, and I've got it paired with a sedum that I got last season that's doing really well, and also with this verbena bonariensis. I grew this from seed. So far this looks like it's doing well in this unamended clay soil, and we'll keep an eye on this during the growing season. It's doing really well so far. This is an azuretum that I grew from seed. The variety is Mexican Americana. It's a really pretty purpley blue color, and I think it goes great with this artemisia. Again, this artemisia was originally planted on the other side of the garden, and this plant is doing great. It actually grew a little bit larger, so I moved it over to this side. This artemisia was planted last season. This is obviously a perennial, and then these are annuals here that I planted from seed over the winter time. Now the next plant that I want to share is also an annual that I grew from seed, and this is not doing well here in this Kentucky clay. This is gomphrena, and it's blooming, but you can see here this really bad coloration of the leaves. Now I am actually going to add some fertilizer to just this area to see if I can get the leaves to green up a bit. I don't know if it's because of I'm not sure if it's because of the soil temperature when they were planted out, because I am noticing that some of the new leaves are green. But in any event, this is the reason why the trial is being done. I expected that gomphrena, in Michigan, this thing was like, it could grow like a weed. And, here, I'm interested to see that it really doesn't look like it's thriving in the current soil conditions. So the other plant that I grew from seed is this status. I don't remember the variety name right now. I'll put it up on the screen when I edit the video. But this is a very pretty pink color. It is a bit floppy-doppy here, so I was expecting that these spires would be, you can see here like how it's kind of flopping down. But it'll be fun to grow this plant just to see how it does. I'm curious to see how it dries up as well. The other plant that I put in between here, the reason being I'm not sure if the gomphrena is going to survive. So if these get taken out, this is a native bee balm. So this is Monarda fistulata, and this is native to Kentucky, and the pollinators just love this plant. Obviously, if I was going to keep it in this condition, this is going to grow and fill out this whole area. But this right now is just kind of a temporary spot because I'm not sure about how these gomphrena are going to do, and they might have to be pulled out of the garden. All right, well, this is going to be fun because it's actually starting to sprinkle here in Kentucky. But this is a native to Kentucky. I bought these as 3 small seedling plants, and just look at how this pale pink coneflower has filled in. It is not exactly the variety that I was expecting, but I'm actually very happy with it. So it's very pretty. It has turned a beautiful color pink, and it is filled with blooms and is really filling this area out. So as you'd expect, this native plant is just thriving in this unamended clay soil, and such a pretty early bloomer. It blooms earlier than the other echinacea, which I do have in the garden, and it's just looking beautiful. Now, one of the plants that is absolutely thriving in this Kentucky clay is this rose. Now, it's been raining really hard, so it looks a little bit sad right now with the blooms kind of fading a bit. But this is a beautiful smelling rose. It's called Raspberry Cupcake. I actually purchased this at Lowe's last season, and it is doing great in this Kentucky clay. And then you'll also notice that I was able to move the bird bath here up into the garden instead of, I actually found it last season in the grass. It was kind of a fun little find. So I have moved the bird bath up here, and the birds just love it. So that's another fun thing for this garden. I do have an issue with some caterpillars on the leaves here, some small caterpillars. I have not sprayed this with anything. I'll probably put some soapy water on it. And then you'll notice the Oakland holly tree. Now, those trees really had quite a harsh winter this winter. And at the beginning of the spring, like towards the end of the winter, the leaves were looking pretty mangy. I was a little bit worried about these plants. I mean, you can see here, I've got one behind, so you can see what this looked like here. Let me focus on that. So, they really weren't looking that great. But then the new leaves filled out really nicely this spring, and just look at how wonderful this plant looks. I mean, you can see I've got some leaves on the inside that are, kind of fallen out or whatever. But this, in the springtime, really the leaves just perked up and grew some new foliage, and it just looks wonderful here and adds some much needed structure to this border. Now, the plant that actually did not do well through the winter time, that I expected to do really well, is this Calamintha nepeta. Now, what you see here, this does look very healthy, but these are all little seedlings that fell and kind of germinated over the season, but the actual plant itself did not survive the wintertime. So I don't think that this, at least in these growing conditions here that I have in this garden, I don't think that this Calamintha is going to be a good overwintering. But if it does go to seed like it is, that might work out just as well. But that was something I really didn't expect. These plants here, this is nigella, and I grew this plant from seed, and I planted the seed in the autumn. So just look at how these plants filled out. It's looking beautiful. It's just covered with blooms. And I have strategically planted some cosmos so that once these kind of die back and go to seed, if I decide to take them out, they'll won't leave a big gap. I've got some plants strategically planted around it that should fill this area out nicely. But in addition to the blooms on this one, the seed pods look really cool. So this is one of my favorite plants in the garden now. All right, well, we're still managing to not have the rain. So this plant here, which is a euphorbia, spurge. So the variety name is called Ascot Rainbow. And this plant is a beautiful plant all season long. So again, I planted this in the garden last season. It made it through the winter time, and now it is just finishing up its blooming. It is such a unique looking plant. Has filled out very nicely, filled out this space, and this is definitely a plant that I'll be growing at Sugar Hill. All right, and while we have this view here, this overhead view, so this is the Ascot Rainbow, and I'm excited to report that the feverfew that I grew from my mom, again, this is my sentimental plant. It's just starting to get some buds on it, but that made it through the winter just fine. And the purple behind is nepeta, cat's meow. And that came up and made it through the winter just fine and is looking beautiful this spring. I've got some orange blooming coneflowers. Those got buds on them. And again, coneflowers are native here to Kentucky, so those are looking wonderful. And the white blooming plants in the background there are the gaura, the whirling butterflies. And I wasn't 100% expecting these plants to live through the winter, but they came up like champs and have already started blooming here in Kentucky. And it looks like the rain is starting to come, so I'm going to move this inside and we'll try to finish some of the highlights of the plants outside of the rain. That's it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.